go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie, and I have 15 fall DIYs for you today using supplies from the Dollar Tree, and all of them have a little bit of a coastal vibe. So let's get crafting. For the first DIY, I'm going to use one of these little mermaid tails from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree, and a Dollar Tree wood pumpkin. And then I just wanted a rectangular sign to stack behind that sign, so you can use whatever you've got. I had like a Christmas sign left over that was just the right size, but you could always use a blank from Dollar Tree as well. I just wanted it to be larger than the wood pumpkin. Now, it's covered with glitter and all kinds of stuff, and to get rid of that, I'm just going to use some cheap vinyl to cover that up. Also, I'm going to pop off any like little metal pieces that were on this, just because I could reuse that, and that's going to kind of get in the way of covering it. But basically, just to give my product a finished back and to seal all of that glitter mess. So I just put that straight on the back. I always cut them a little bit larger, because then you can follow it up with a sanding block from Dollar Tree and get a perfect cut all along all of the edges. And then we're ready to craft the other side. I want mine to be a horizontal sign where the one that I'm using was vertical. So I'm just going to take some spackle from the Dollar Tree and fill up those holes so that you won't be able to see that in the final product. But my plan on this DIY is to do a really fun mermaid pumpkin sign. So I think it turned out really cute. Now for the back sign, it's kind of, that unfinished, like kind of like a cardboard feel on the back of these signs. But once you paint it, you can make it look like a real wood sign. So that's what I do. I just go over the whole thing with a coat of ivory. And you'll notice that I didn't cover all of it. I left like a lot of the sides unpainted to kind of give a natural distress look to start with. Then follow that up with some antique wax by Waverly, working in that same direction. And we're going to give like a faux wood grain. I kind of wanted to make it look like driftwood. So I distress it, just working horizontally and then following that up with a baby wipe to blend that all together. I wanted something very simple and coastal for the back sign, and I think that's going to work great. Now, since we don't have any holes to hang it on here, I'm going to kind of just use some Dollar Tree rope to make a simple hanger. These signs aren't real heavy, so I think this is going to work. I just tied a knot in the end of some Dollar Tree brown nautical rope, kind of measured how long I would like a little hanger to be, and then tied another knot. And we're just going to use this on the front of the sign to make a hanger that's going to be also decorative, no drilling required. So I'm just kind of lining that up. I have a ruler there so I can kind of get it equal so it will hang equally. And I'm just using my staple gun to staple the rope right here into the top. And I think that's going to work out perfectly. Now for the mermaid pumpkin. I'm using just a plain wood pumpkin from Dollar Tree. I don't know if it necessarily would have to be this kind of pumpkin. You might be able to modify it to work with some of their other designs, but I think this is like the plainest one they have. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw lines on here. So I'm using my ruler just to kind of do like equal distance lines down this. And the reason I kind of wanted to do that was to kind of do like a grid for my mermaid scales. I'm going to make mermaid scales with my hot glue gun, and I want them to be even. So I just go down, up with my hot glue gun, trying to get a pretty even amount of hot glue out. Now, if you get some stringing from your hot glue, don't worry too much. You can usually clean that up before you paint it. Now, on the second row, you notice that I only went down about halfway. So I'm kind of using half spacing for those lines that I did. And then I alternate so that one is kind of tucked underneath the other ones like a mermaid pattern. And I'm going to do that all the way down, just kind of refilling my hot glue as needed. And this is going to give us this wonderful mermaid texture for the pumpkin. And it turned out so fun. I think this is probably like kind of the largest scale mermaid scales that I've done with hot glue before, but it turned out really cute. I love it. It's so unique. So I did like just a little swirl of it across the top, and then we're just gonna let that set up. The hot glue like sets up like really fast. If you want to speed it up even more, you could try to pop it in the refrigerator or something, but on its own, as you can tell, it just kind of already started setting up immediately. Now I'm going to go over the whole thing with some ivory paint. I kind of wanted an ivory back coat on this, and I wanted all of the little mermaid scales to be ivory to begin with too. And then we can go ahead and distress it a little bit more. I did notice I had a little bit of stringing from the hot glue, so I'm trying to clean it up now before I go any further. But if you have a heat gun, that works great to burn all the little tiny strands of hot glue that you might have hanging around. But I went over it with a good 2 coats, trying to make sure that I wasn't painting any just outright, strings of glue. Now I'm following that up with a light blue paint. This is like a Caribbean blue color, and since I did it while it was still wet with ivory, it kind of mixed together and made a really light blue, right? Kind of just mixing that all in, kind of making sure that I'm trying to get in all the different like little mermaid scales, but I like the variation in color. I want it to look distressed, like Coastal Farmhouse. And so I just kind of go all over until I'm happy with it. Now I want to bring out that great texture that we made on there with the hot glue. And so then I follow that up with our original ivory color using a chunky brush and distressing all over. If you drag it over fast enough, you mainly get the paint just on the scales. You might get a little bit on the scales below, but that's okay because that's just going to make it look a little bit distressed. Now for the pumpkin stem, I take some Dollar Tree twine and I just hot glue that to the top, and we are just going to cover this little wood stem on here with that twine to make it look fun and coastal. Just a quick, easy way to deal with these little Dollar Tree pumpkin stems. And anytime I can use a twine or burlap, I'm always game. I always think it looks great with my decor. Now, this is what we have so far, and now we need to decorate the little mermaid tail. Remember that one? That one comes on a 3-pack, and they have them in the Shore Living line every year at Dollar Tree. And this is going to require just one. And I don't want to do the texture on here. It's already got the design on there of the mermaid scales. So the first step in DIYing this one is I just paint it all over with some ivory paint. I just left the hanger on there just to make it easier, trying not to get too much paint on it. And then I went over it with one more coat. I'm using acrylic, so I was hoping that you would still be able to see the scales through it after painting that on there. And I could, but not real obvious, but enough to draw on. So I'm just using a brown marker and just drawing all of the pattern back on there to make sure that you can see it. And then distressing all of that with that same ivory to make it look old and distressed, but you can still see the great mermaid scales and the lines on the tail. Now I'm going to use that existing hanger that it came with. I'm just going to tie that twine around our little pumpkin stem up here at the top. And it's going to dangle down right in front of the little mermaid pumpkin. Isn't that so cute? This is one of my favorite fall DIYs I think I've ever done. I really love it. And now it's time to pair it up with our little driftwood sign that we made. And it's going to go flush right on there. I'm just going to use hot glue to attach it. I always like to layer Dollar Tree signs because it's going to make it twice as thick. You're not going to have to worry about bowing as much. And it's just going to make it look way more high-end, I think. So glued it down, and I think that's all it needs. It's beautiful. I love all the coastal touches, and how fun for a little mermaid pumpkin. Isn't that cute? And it's a great use for the little mermaid tails as well, because I always buy those, but I never really know what to do with them. And this is how it turned out. Our little mermaid tail mermaid pumpkin. So fun for fall or for Halloween. Next DIY, I'm going to take one of these little foam circles from the Dollar Tree. This is like, you know, just kind of like a real simple styrofoam material. And I thought we could make a succulent pumpkin using the little succulents from Dollar Tree. I kind of have a collection. Some were new, some were used a million times, and I'm going to try to pair them together. Now, I wanted it to have a stem on it, but I didn't want it to have like that super long stem on it. And I ended up just taking it apart. So I just glued down my succulent, and then I had to glue mine to put it back together because when I did that, I kind of pulled it apart, which I was trying not to do. But I love the blue succulents, and I thought if I mixed that together with a lot of like the tan color succulents from the Dollar Tree, we could make this work. This time, I was trying to get a little bit smarter on the stem, but they're still a little bit unpredictable. I wanted the wire, but not so much anything else, and I was able to get it put back together. I just put the wire straight in the side of the circle, and in the end, I'm going to want like a pumpkin shape for our little succulent pumpkin. I've never seen anybody make one of these, but I thought it sounded like a fun idea, so I'm trying like to find all different colors. I think all these colors go really well together. But again, the ones that had picks, I did want the wire, but not necessarily the plastic part. So I just pull that apart, little bit of surgery on these. And then I just can put it straight into the foam. But the ones that don't have any stem at all, I'm just attaching with hot glue. Now, styrofoam doesn't necessarily like to be hot glued, but we're going to make it work. This one kind of had a little plastic pick on it. I kind of have a collection. Some came in pots, some came in picks, some, you know, some have clips. Just trying to make them all kind of work together. And if they don't have anything on there, I just use hot glue to attach it. But I kind of like the wired ones for the side because then I can put the wire down inside. So just popping that one back together and wiring that straight in. And I just want kind of a roundish shape that we can try to make look like a pumpkin. So I think that looks pretty good. Now for a display, I'm going to use one of these little wood circle frames from the Dollar Tree. These are in the Crafter Square, and I love these. They're great for making displays. They're super easy. It's got a great shape on there. I just pulled the picture out and the little tabs. And then I am going to paint it ivory here on the base because you're going to be able to see that part. I just wanted something that I could display the pumpkin with it so it wouldn't have to kind of like lay flat on its back like that before we kind of try to make this look like a pumpkin. Now to attach the succulent pumpkin to it, I'm going to have like the wood round frame be on the back. So the first step is I just hot glue that to the back of our circle. And you can see some of the wires went pretty deep in there, but not really out. I didn't really like that being all open like that, so I just grabbed like a scrap piece of burlap that I had laying around, and we can use that to cover the back to clean this up, make it look a little bit nicer. Hot gluing that on. It's also going to kind of help keep everything together, I think. So I just cut out a square, hot glued it down to the frame and to the foam. Then I'm going to go around and just cut out that circular shape so you can't see the burlap from the front. And I think that did a pretty good job of masking the back of it anyway. And then I thought between the succulents, it would be really cute if I did like a little bit of Spanish moss. And so I have some Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just like pulling off little pieces and kind of tucking it in between the succulents. I think this gives it like, you know, they're faux succulents, so I think this makes them look a little bit better and like not quite right on top of each other. Now, one problem I had is it was gonna tip over. The base was just not strong enough to hold up all those succulents. I didn't really take that into account, but to fix it, I'm just using a wood block on the back, That is one of those giant Jenga blocks from Five Below that I use all the time. And that helped to weigh it down, but it could be anything. And then I don't want you to see like the foam sides of the styrofoam either. So I'm just going to hot glue on Spanish moss all the way around. It's going to give, that same Spanish moss look that we used, inside the pumpkin. So it kind of coordinates, makes it look cool. You could also cover that part with burlap too if you wanted. But I think I kind of like the moss way better. Okay, so now we have like our succulent pumpkin. It's time to work on the pumpkin stem. So we're going to use just the 8-foot natural jute rope from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a really simple little rope stem for our pumpkin. So I figure out about how long I want it, and I'm going to go ahead and cut down 3 pieces of that Dollar Tree rope. And then what I'm going to do is glue them all together, side by side by side. And then we are going to twist and kind of wrap the rope around each other to kind of make it look like a gnarly pumpkin stem. So I start off by putting a little hot glue on my one strand, and then I grab the other 2 strands. We're going to use those 2 strands to wrap just around the single strand. Now to get it to stay into place, I did use hot glue each time that I went around to glue the rope to the rope. And it's going to give it that like kind of windy look where we can kind of shape it into like the traditional shape of a pumpkin stem. So I cut off the single long one, and you can always add some more glue if you need to, if you find it coming apart. I kind of want it to look old and frayed, and I think that looks pretty cool for a pumpkin stem. Now it's just a matter of attaching it here to the top. I'm going to hot glue it right here to the top, the center, to the succulent and to the little foam circle below it, and kind of let it go off to the side. It was a little bit floppy, so I'm going to follow that up with a little of the wired jute from Dollar Tree here to give it a little bit more shape. It's going to blend into the rope as well, but it's going to make it where it'll stand exactly where I want it, make it a little bit more moldable. So I cut out a long piece, just wrapped it all the way around, making sure that I have extra, so then I can take something shaped like the shape of a pen, just wrap that around into a little curly tendril for our pumpkin. And so that kind of does 2 things at once. You have to be careful because that twine does want to come off of the wire, but you might want to make it a little bit longer so that if you need to trim it, but hot glue can help keep it on there as well. Now for a pumpkin leaf, I thought we could use one of these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. They are a little big, so we're going to try to cut this one down a little bit to size. I did leave the wire on there though, so that I would have something to wrap around the pumpkin stem to attach it, and I like the coastal feel of the burlap for sure. I decided that the best way would be just to put the wire straight into the styrofoam, and that worked out great. So this is it, our little succulent pumpkin. Very creative, very colorful. What do you guys think about this fun little creation? I think it's super sweet. I love succulents. I love those Dollar Tree succulents. I think they're so pretty, and I love the blue. Okay, are you guys ready? I have a giant rope pumpkin that we're going to make. We're going to be using the wider white rope from the Dollar Tree, the 6-foot rope, and 2 of these giant plastic bowls from the Dollar Tree. Now, I don't think the color would really matter on the bowls. I picked white because I thought maybe if it were going to show through the rope, you might be able to see it, but I don't know if it would really matter. So basically I'm going to stack one bowl on top of the other, and the tricky part is just attaching them. I thought hot glue would work because it has a rim. Now I really didn't want it to have much of a rim because I thought that would cause problems in the final pumpkin shape, but it's really not that bad in the end, so we're going to work with what we've got. So I did a bead of hot glue all the way around, quickly laying my top bowl right on top, making sure everything's flush here on the sides. If you don't get it your first attempt, you might have to redo it. Now, to make it even sturdier, I decided masking tape might help. So I just took some masking tape and I'm going all the way around the two bowls, our giant pumpkin here. And then I'm going to crisscross and do the other way as well, because I wasn't super sturdy and I want this to definitely stay together as one piece in the end. Now it's time to start making this a rope pumpkin. We're going to start right here on the bottom. I'm purposely leaving a little hole here because I know I'm going to want to come back with a pumpkin stem. So I'm starting like a circular pattern with that and just hot gluing the Dollar Tree white rope around. Now, this is a giant pumpkin. This is how far one of the 6 foot goes. To kind of give you an idea, you kind of have to start and stop your rope. And if you use a little hot glue there, kind of blend it in, it's not super noticeable where you start and stop, but you don't really have an option if you're using Dollar Tree rope. If you had a longer rope, you could probably do this seamless. And so I went all the way around. We're going to start a third package here on this side of the pumpkin. So make sure you stock up on Dollar Tree white rope and make sure you're all getting the same, size diameter rope if you're going to do this DIY. I'm trying to remember exactly how many packages I used. If I can't figure it out in the video, I'll look it up and try to put that in the description below. But as you can see, it's gonna take a lot. So I'm about halfway through the rope pumpkin. I was a little intimidated by this DIY because it was so big, but it turned out so cool. This would be a great indoor or outdoor decoration, I think. It's so large that you could definitely use it outside. So I've got halfway done, so I flipped it over. We're continuing that same rope pattern. It's so easy. You're just hot gluing the rope to the sign. So not much to it. It's just a little bit time consuming just because it's so large. And probably the most time consuming part is like starting and stopping your next package of rope, but you're probably going to need a break. And I just keep working on that bottom bowl until we cover the entire thing up. On top, I had left like a little vacant hole for the stem, but on the bottom, I don't do that. So I go all the way to the very bottom and twirl it closed, cutting off the excess rope. And then this is the 11-foot white rope. So this is the skinnier white rope, and we're going to do something a little bit different with this one. We're going to do like the little pumpkin, I guess sections, if you will. So I wanted the skinnier white rope for this, and I just started at the top and glued it down. We're going to go all the way around with this one to the other side. And the reason that I'm doing this is that I don't want it to look like a giant like apple or something like that. I still kind of want it to have some pumpkin segments. And I thought like the rope sections, we can make it look like that. So again, starting at the top where I have the cutout for the stem, I hot glue another rope, but this time at the bottom, I'm gonna have to cut it because I don't want to overlap. I want this to be able to sit level in the final project. So wrap that one all the way around to the top, and now I just kind of have one more section here to cordon off. And you can kind of see how that little bump out, does kind of affect my shape a little bit in the final project, but nothing too noticeable. So this is my last rope. Now we have like all 6 of our little sections of the pumpkin. And I thought a piece of driftwood for the stem would be perfect. So I had a giant piece of driftwood that I found at the beach, and I just hot glued that to the top of my pumpkin, trying to let that glue set up so it will kind of stay in place, because it was a rather big piece of driftwood, but then again, the pumpkin was really large too. So I kind of let that set up. I do go back with some more hot glue to kind of help that and let it dry. Now to decorate the top of the pumpkin, I'm going to use some Dollar Tree burlap. I just kind of had like a 6-inch ribbon. Dollar Tree now has burlap ribbon, so you can totally use that as well. I didn't want the finished edges on there though, so I cut those off, and then I just kind of cut it into a square shape like that. Then I folded it, cut off the corner so I could just wrap that around, kind of make a little collar for the top where I have burlap sticking out the sides and just went over the stem. Then that same Dollar Tree white rope, I just unwind. It's automatically curly, right? So I'm going to use that to make pumpkin tendrils on the top of the burlap. I kind of like it just kind of twisted on top of each other like that. Originally, I was going to tie it on there, but I just want some little curly pumpkin stems coming out. And I think the rope on rope's going to look great, but the burlap kind of breaks it up, kind of makes them look a little bit more noticeable. I wanted a third one, so I attached a third one right there on top, just hot gluing that to the top of our pumpkin. And as you can tell, this is like my whole workbench. Like, this is a big pumpkin. Now to decorate it with some seashells. I picked out some Dollar Tree seashells. I chose like different colors just for a little bit of variety. And then I'm just going to hot glue them to the burlap and to the driftwood pumpkin stem. And then I thought like a Dollar Tree succulent or two would be really cute too. So I'm going to attach a couple of those up there with the seashells as well. I really want lots of decorations on the top of this because I don't want it to be plain because it's so large of a decoration. And then maybe another seashell right over here, a green one would look cute. Don't forget the little pumpkin tendrils made out of rope. And I think that looks adorable. One more touch, maybe a little starfish. I get these little starfish on Amazon. I always have those posted in my shop as well. And we're going to kind of glue that where you can kind of see it standing up into the burlap against the seashell there on the back. And maybe one more seashell. Maybe that should be my motto. Maybe one more seashell. Ooh, I like that. That's pretty good. I'm going to have to make some merch, guys. And here it is, my giant rope pumpkin using 2 bowls from the Dollar Tree. A whole lot of white rope. I will figure out how many packages of that I used if I can. And I really love the driftwood stem on there. You can always use a stick from your yard too if you don't have access to that. And speaking of sticks from your yard, I took a stick from my yard and a Dollar Tree little candle holder here. This is from the Shore Living line. They kind of have similar ones year-round. I really wanted the blue color, and I told you a stick from my yard. Well, actually, it's from my neighbor's tree. I only have palm trees in my yard, but this fell in my yard, so fair game, right? And then some maple leaves from the Dollar Tree. Now, you guys know I love the blue leaves from the Dollar Tree, but for this one, I wanted to do like more of an ivory tan touch. So I'm just going around cutting all the leaves off. I don't really want any stems or anything like that. And these are a little bit different colors. This one's got like a little bit more orange in there, but I thought it'd provide a little bit of variety, but basically 2 packages of the Dollar Tree leaves. And then it's just as simple as putting your tree back together, right? So I'm just gonna glue the fall leaves on the little branches that naturally stick out of my stick. Try to find one with as many like little branches coming out as you can, and you can just make like a little fall tree. Now, this is really beneficial for me in Florida where we don't have fall, so I don't get any fall, leaves to decorate, so Dollar Tree comes in handy, but it also gives you that touch of fall that I'm not really gonna get when I go outside, so I think it's really fun. And I just keep following up. Every stem, I'm just gluing a different leaf, trying to pick good ones. It's okay if they're a little bit folded, kind of alternating the colors. The plain ivory ones from the ones that had like a little bit of orange in them as well. And just filling up my entire tree. I'm going to clean up some of the extra hot glue, and then we're going to put it in this little vase from the Dollar Tree or candle holder. First, I started with just some Dollar Tree tan sand. I think that's going to make it look beachy, but it also gives me something to stand the tree up in. So I just placed the little tree branch right inside, fill it up with more sand, and then to be extra coastal, just one more seashell, right? I'm using those little bottled seashells from the Dollar Tree. I want a variety of them in there, piling them on top. And this is how the little starfish come that I order from Amazon all the time. So you can see the variety of sizes. Sometimes when I get them, they're quite a mixture like this, but sometimes they're all tiny. But otherwise, I don't really care because I just love them. I'm going to use it to decorate the front of my little candle holder vase that we made, and just hot glue that right to the front. It's got like a little wire handle that comes down in front. And there is our little fall tree in my entryway. Isn't that so cute? And hey, the tree branch was free. Just 2 packages of leaves from the Dollar Tree and a Dollar Tree candle holder. Okay, let's get crafting. You got a sneak peek of this one just then, I think. I'm going to take another wood pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, along with some window clings, some of their removable white wood wallpaper, and I'm just going to use an old sign that I had laying around the house. You could always thrift flip. You could use a Dollar Tree sign, whatever you want. I like this one because it was wood, has sides. It's going to stand up on its own, give me that chunky sign if I want it. But I don't really like this sign very much, and the reason is because it's so glittery. I've had it hanging in my house in the past, but I decided to remake it. So the first thing is, to cover up all that glitter, I just take the Dollar Tree removable wallpaper and lay it straight on top of our sign. And I made it, bigger than it needs to be, because then once I get it all on there, I can just use some sandpaper, just like contact paper, and it's going to give me that clean cut along the sides. Maybe a little distressed looking, but I kind of like that look, so that's good. I'm just going to do that on all 4 sides. The sides of the sign were like white already, but at least that they didn't have glitter on them. I do like to sand that wallpaper a little bit too, just to kind of break up the color scheme on there. And then we're going to use one of these placemats from the Dollar Tree. I love these. They're like that beautiful like mint green color. And I want to use that to kind of make a background here for our pumpkin, but I want you to be able to see the wood behind it, so I'm cutting it down where I'll have like a little bit of the white wood border all the way around it. We're just going to be layering some signs here today. And you can kind of see the seam on that, so you can do a pretty good job of cutting a straight line on that. So that's going to be my touch of blue. These placemats can be a great way to add a little color to your project without having to paint anything. So I just hot glue that straight to my removable wallpaper. And then we're going to have the pumpkin go right on top. We're going to make a really easy little fall sign using some Dollar Tree window clings. Okay, now the finish that I want to give to the pumpkin itself, I kind of want to do that driftwood look with this one too. So what I'm doing is I'm just mixing some ivory acrylic together with some antique wax by Waverly. It gives you the perfect shade for driftwood. And we're going to stain this little wood pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, just going all over. You're definitely going to want like a flat surface pumpkin like this, not like the slatted or anything like that. And then I follow that up with a baby wipe to wipe out the excess paint so you can still see that wood grain through. Then we're going to distress it with just the plain antique wax by Waverly to give a little bit more color to it, just working in one direction. And kind of following that up with a wipe as well, just to blend it all in. And then I'm going to go back and distress the whole thing with the original like ivory color that we did. And mixing all those shades together gives you a really fun little driftwood pumpkin. Now, you can add about anything to that. The window clings have like clear backgrounds usually. So we're going to just take some Mod Podge. We're going to do a very thin coat of Mod Podge over the pumpkin. And then I'm choosing the word Hello Autumn with like some little leaves over here. And I really like that color that autumn is written in. This is a great way you can make little personalized signs for any kind of season, even if you don't have a Cricut. And honestly, it's easier than a Cricut because you're not setting it up, cutting it, weeding it, all that kind of stuff. And you can kind of cut these and modify them however you want to. So I just went over the whole pumpkin, again with more Mod Podge. I wanted to make sure that it was good and secure and not glossy. So that's why I'm going to go over it with even more Mod Podge. It gives you that matte finish if you get the matte Mod Podge from the Dollar Tree. And just going over the whole thing. Now we're going to put our little Driftwood Hello Autumn pumpkin on top of our placemat now. I'm just going to attach the wood sign. We're going to layer these with more hot glue, making sure I have enough because we're going to hang this up and I don't want this going anywhere. And then I thought it would be really cute to do like a little rope border around the pumpkin to add another texture, right? So this is the thinner white rope from the Dollar Tree, and I start right at the pumpkin stem. I'm just going to hot glue all the way around the edges of the pumpkin. I think it's going to give it just another little fun coastal feel. And I love like different textures and stuff like that with my crafting signs. So this step's kind of optional, but I really like how it turned out. So I went all the way around the pumpkin, hot gluing it up, kind of doubling up there for the stem of the pumpkin. And then I thought maybe a little coastal decor would be super cute on here. So again, those are the little starfish that I get on Amazon, available in my Amazon shop. And then I thought we could make it look super beachy with some seashells. You can get some really cute seashells from the Dollar Tree if you're not near the beach. I do both. I get them from the beach. I get them from the Dollar Tree. I kind of have a seashell problem. I have too many, so whenever I can craft with them, I'm always looking for an opportunity. So I wanted a good variety of different kinds of shells and shapes and colors, and then we're just going to hot glue those around our little pumpkin. And I really love the colors. I like it like the white boards in the back, the little touch of blue to provide a little bit of color there from the placemat. And I really love the soft shade of the stained pumpkin underneath. And nobody would ever know that was a window decal. It looks really good and professional. I really love all the seashells and like the starfish on the front. And this is how it looks hanging on my wall. Since this was kind of a standing sign, I could also stand this up for any kind of decor on a shelf as well. Okay, the next DIY, I'd really been wanting to make one of these forever, and I love how this turned out. So I just picked up a Dollar Tree frame. Basically, you want to just make sure that it has glass in it, not plastic. And I picked up this one with this great wood grain. I do end up kind of framing it out a little bit more, but my original plan was just to use the wood grain frame. And so the first thing I'm going to do is just pop the glass out, pop all the staples out, because I want to do like a floating sign. You gotta be careful. Sometimes those frames will fall apart on you a little bit when you're pulling out those staples. So the first thing that I'm doing is just going to kind of try to make the frame itself look a little bit more like driftwood. And to do that, I'm just going over the whole thing with ivory. And that has that great wood grain on there anyway. So I thought that would bring that out, maybe leaving just a little bit of brown showing through once I get it good and painted. And I think that looks really coastal. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue the glass back in by doing a bead of hot glue all around the edges. We no longer have the staples in there, so we have to glue it to keep it in and glue that back into our frame. Now this is going to be a glass gem pumpkin. These little glass gems from the Dollar Tree. They come in a kind of a variety pack. They have several different options of these. Sometimes they're not quite as varied, but this one had like blues and greens mixed together. So we're going to open several packages of these so I can kind of get what colors that I really wanted. I wanted, of course, blues for my pumpkin and maybe less greens. Now I wanted something to kind of sketch out where my pumpkin's gonna be. So I flipped it over, used a white chalk pen, and just drew a simple pumpkin on the back of it, just to give me a little bit of a reference, something that I can wipe off later if needed. And then I just start taking the beautiful beachy blue gems, and I am lining out the shape of the pumpkin all the way around the edges. And this would look really pretty like in front of a window. It looks really pretty on a wall anyway, but if you had like a way to have like light coming through this, it would be even more gorgeous. Now I'm being selective and I'm picking out all the pretty blue ones and leaving all the green ones to fill out my entire pumpkin. Now it's a matter of attaching all these little glass gems to our glass. I just kind of push the top 3 and the bottom 3 rows kind of aside. And I'm going to start with the longest row, which is in the middle. And I'm just simply using hot glue to attach this, and it actually seemed to hold pretty well. And I just fill up that top part. I'm trying to decide what would be an easier way to do it. I decided to try doing a row of hot glue, but I didn't really like that because you could still kind of see it. But you can do ... with your hot glue, which makes it a little bit easier because then you can do like I'm doing and do 5 at a time. So the top 2 rows I did there were the same length. And then I started making them one shorter each time, kind of nesting them in between the glass gem at the top. So I'm going to start on the top half. I'm going to do another row, the same length there as the middle, because I'm trying to get that great pumpkin shape. And then we're going to cut it down 1 gem for this row, kind of nesting those in there. I'm going to cut it down 1 more for the top 2. And I'm actually going to leave some room there for a stem on the top. Now I wanted to reinforce this to make sure that the glass did not fall out because it was kind of heavy at this point. So I went ahead with more hot glue on the outside of the glass too, securing that in. And for a pumpkin stem, I thought driftwood would be perfect. I'm using a piece of driftwood from the Target vase filler driftwood, but you can use whatever you have. And I'm just going to glue that right there on the front, kind of going over to the side in the little area I left there for the shape of the pumpkin stem. Now for a little pumpkin leaf, I'm going to use some of these ivory leaves from the Dollar Tree again. I think that's going to be really pretty. That color works really well against those beautiful blue glass gems. Aren't those so pretty? I think this is the first time that I ever crafted with them. I really love them. And so we just cut like one of the little fall leaves down. I was just trying to determine which way I wanted to arrange it. I think it looks great every way, but I decided to kind of go down and over to the side, hot gluing that to our little driftwood pumpkin stem, and it kind of fills in that area there at the top as well. Now, I thought that if I had a little beach pumpkin, I should have some sand, right? So we're going to kind of add to this. I have some school glue and I just spread it all around the base of the pumpkin with the glass there with a paintbrush so that we can cover the bottom of this with sand. Now, this kind of reminds me of a project that people would do with like resin. None of my Dollar Trees are pluses yet. Even the ones in the next town that are pluses, nobody has the resin yet. So I haven't got to play with it yet, but this was a fun option and probably easier. I'm going to shake off my excess sand that I put on there. I used the Dollar Tree tan sand, making sure that I got it good and dry. And I'm really glad I added that to it. I think it looks really fun. Now, sometimes I have a trouble finding the spray adhesive glue that I like to use to glue down the sand from the top. So I just decided to try to use the little pump kind. And it did kind of scare me that it was purple, but it does dry clear, so you don't have to worry about that. But I just sprinkled down some more of that sand to glue on top of that to make that nice and thick. This is the kind that I usually use, and I kind of like this kind better. So I sprayed it down with that, a little bit more sand, making sure everything's glued down. And then, of course, we're going to need some seashells. So I went through my seashell stash and found some seashells to add to our little pumpkin beach. And we are just going to glue those to our sand. Anytime you're gluing to your sand, you're going to have to go fairly deep in there to kind of get to the glass behind it when you're gluing it down. If you have something else like the frame or the glass to glue it to, you can kind of take advantage of that as well. But we're going to kind of just fill both sides up here with some seashells. Now for a hanger, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. And I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine. And I'm going to hot glue that here to the back of my frame. Kind of like in the little ridge here all the way on the side. Because I don't really have anything else to kind of attach that to at this point. So I'm going to use extra hot glue to try to make that super strong and let that part dry. Now this is how it looks. I think it's really beautiful. There was just something, I don't know. I didn't really think that the frame was as big or as coastal as I wanted. But you know what? If you like it, I love it. You could totally leave it like that. But I thought maybe if I use some Dollar Tree rulers, I could make the frame look a little bit bigger, chunkier, and a little bit more what I wanted. So I'm just going to use 4 of the rulers that come 2 to package. And it's just a matter of peeling the stickers off and cutting these down to size. We're just going to do a super rustic frame to go on the front of the frame that it came with. So I just cut down the 2 side pieces to go from the very top to the very bottom. And then I'm going to cut down the other 2 rulers to fill in the remaining spot. I'm not going to do anything crazy like miter corners or anything like that. Super rustic sign. And we're going to do like the tab part down. And so we have the flat part of the ruler up. Now I kind of wanted them to have that driftwood feel. That's really what I was going for on this. And so again, I'm going to mix ivory acrylic with a little antique wax by Waverly to give that perfect shade of driftwood. And we're going to go in and stain that great ruler wood. Just a simple update to it, but I was glad I did it because it did make it look a little bit more high end and have like a bigger frame. Now, I'm also distressing it with just the plain antique wax by Waverly too to provide a little variety to like my driftwood color. And that's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to attach those wood rulers just to the existing frame. Super easy, gluing them to the existing frame just like that. And I really love how beautiful this DIY is. Definitely doesn't look like something that you made with items from the Dollar Tree. I think that looks pretty good. I got it in there pretty good and square. Last piece. My seashells almost got in the way, but luckily I didn't go too low with those, and so it could fit perfectly. Now this is how it looks hanging in my house. And again, I think it would be gorgeous in front of a window or something if you could hang it there as well, but it's so pretty. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video and let you know about my Facebook group. I always have it linked in the description below. You're going to find out when I post new videos and you'll get to see what everyone's been crafting. I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, and Threads, and my handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube. Okay, for the next DIY, you're going to need a wood slice. Now, I really don't know where you can find these. If anybody knows, leave it in the description below. I got mine at Goodwill, and it was $2.99, and look how, like, freaking awesome it is. It's nice and thick. It's kind of got a flat side, so I can stand it up. And I thought we would make this into a beautiful beachy blue pumpkin. I just saw pumpkin when I looked at this, so I'm going over the entire wood slice with Caribbean blue acrylic paint. Just kind of avoiding the outer edges. I want you to be able to see the bark and the outer layer of the tree, but I really wanted to paint the rest of it blue so we can do a really fun little beachy pumpkin. Now, once I get that colored blue, I'm going to go back and distress it with ivory, kind of arching it, kind of making it look a little bit more like a 3D pumpkin by, doing like, the rounded edges and kind of like this little sections of like what a pumpkin would be, straight up and down in the middle though. And then I want to add a Dollar Tree starfish to the front for another beachy touch. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint that little plastic white starfish ivory as well. Now, I think that looks pretty good, so we can put this together. Just hot gluing the starfish right in the center of our little wood slice pumpkin. I wish I knew where I could find more wood slices like this without having to go cut up a tree, I guess. Maybe you know somebody. And then to do like the little, pumpkin sections that we were kind of talking about, I thought we could kind of define them with some Dollar Tree white nautical rope. So this is the thinner one. I didn't want it to be too wide. I think this would be really cute with some of the macrame cord from Dollar Tree as well. And I just do that little arch shape for the center section of the pumpkin, and just using that same piece coming back down the other side, hot gluing that around. I did do the starfish first because I needed to kind of know how much room I needed to work with so the starfish would fit right inside. Then I'm also going to outline the outer edge of the pumpkin just inside the outer edge of the wood slice with more rope, and we're just going to finish framing the entire pumpkin out. And I really think this gives it that pumpkin vibe because you have the little pumpkin sections, and the rope provides another coastal fun decor. For a pumpkin stem, I thought one of those wood stems from the Dollar Tree would be absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to hot glue that little wood stem to the side of our wood slice. And can you get a DIY any easier than that? That was so easy to put together, right? So for the little pumpkin tendril, I'm going to use some of the wire jute from Dollar Tree. I love this for this purpose. And I'm going to wrap that around our little pumpkin stem, so we can kind of have a piece come out here on both sides. And kind of hot glue it in place too to make sure everything stays put. And then we can do little pumpkin tendrils just by simply wrapping those around an ink pen. I really think the pumpkin tendrils always add a little fun touch to a DIY pumpkin. And I love the idea of doing a wood slice. Now for the final last touch, I picked up some of these little leather charms from the fall section at Dollar Tree. I'm so glad they're bringing these back again this year because they are so pretty. And I just picked out the little fall leaf. I don't really need the strap on there though. I just want the little grateful leaf here to attach to the pumpkin stem and kind of have it coming down like a little pumpkin leaf here at the top. And here it is, our little wood slice pumpkin. I absolutely love this DIY. I think it turned out so cute, and it's another beautiful blue pumpkin in my home for fall. Okay, the next DIY, I picked up a couple of these little cutting board signs. They happen to be fall ones, but it doesn't matter. You can use any of them that you can find. You're just going to need to get 2 that are the same size. And this isn't necessarily a fall DIY. You could use this DIY year-round, but I'm going to use it for fall decor and show you how I make a really cute little cutting board tray table using some of this removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to use my favorite design, which is that tropical blue palm leaf pattern. And we are going to cover the cutting board with that wallpaper, and it's going to give just a beautiful surface to the top of our tray. So I just laid it on the back of the wallpaper, sketched it out so that I can just cut it down to size with scissors. Easy peasy. This is just like a giant sticker. You can just peel and stick and cover up whatever you want. So that looks pretty good. And it's just a matter of peeling and sticking. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the back. That way I won't have to deal with any glitter or anything that might be on the sign. And you're not going to be able to see the back of it anyway, or I guess the front of it anyway. So I just line that up straight with my cutting board, and we are going to cover that up. Oh, I love that wallpaper. I've done so many DIYs with this for every season. I think it's so pretty and tropical. Definitely doesn't look like Dollar Tree. Now, what we're going to do is, if you don't get it on there just perfect, you can always just sand the edges and get a perfect cut. You can also kind of give it a little bit of a distressed feel too, if you like that. Just going around all the edges. Now with the second cutting board, we're going to use some Dollar Tree wood beads. These are the cube-shaped ones, but this project would totally work with the round ones as well. The fact that they're strung together already is a plus. If not, you might want to string them because it does make attaching them to the cutting board even easier. So I just start up here at the handle, and I am just hot gluing those wood bleeds all the way up against the edges. I guess the square shape is a little advantageous, but these can be a little bit trickier to find at Dollar Tree. And I'm just hot gluing all the way around until I run out. I noticed they're kind of tied on a little bit different at the edges to make them go side by side like this. I just untie it, kind of making it more freeform there at the edges. And that's about how far one strand of the cube-shaped ones will last you. And then I'm going to start just a new package right here. And you can kind of see how the string makes this easier to do. And you're going to want a little flexibility to be able to move them back and forth when you're gluing around those corners and such. Just going all the way to the top. I almost had enough. I was just short a few beads. So I'm going to string a few more beads here to get all the way to the top of my little cutting board shape. And I tie those to each other as well. I'm also going to do an extra row here in the middle because we're going to put the two cutting boards together. It's going to give me another surface to attach that to make sure everything is square. So I'm going to, lay the one right on top. Now, I don't want it to be like the natural wood color. I do want this to be ivory. And so I'm just going to use some ivory paint and a brush so I can kind of get in between the little wood beads. And I'm going to do the edge of the bottom cutting board and then the outside of all of those cubes in that ivory color. But if you like the natural look, you could totally leave that just the natural wood. But I think that looks pretty good. As you can see, I'm using both of the original surfaces, both facing inside, so you won't be able to see them. But just to make it look a little bit more finished, I'm going to go ahead and paint the bottom of it ivory too. It's just going to make it look a little bit more professional, and I probably got some ivory paint on it anyway, so I might as well just kind of go with it. I'm also going to paint the edges of the top cutting board ivory too, just in case you can see that, because it's going to be paired up against the ivory beads right underneath of it, just to kind of make all the surfaces except for the top ivory. Now it's time to put this together. I'm going to use hot glue on all of those wood beads. And again, this does work for, I've used the circle beads to make a tier tray kind of like this, to make a chunky sign. And we're making a chunky cutting board out of this tray. So then I just lay my beautiful cutting board right on top, gluing that down, also gluing it to those wood beads that we put in the center to make it nice, flat, and square. So now we have just a super chunky one, but now our little cutting board tray needs legs. So I'm going to use a total of 8 of the little mini Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is glue the two together to make a chunky little foot. I'm going to do that 3 more times for a total of 4 legs for our little tray. This is such a fun way to make a little tray to display any of your decor. And since this is a tropical pattern, it would match any decor, or you know what, you could use some of the other wallpapers as well. Now I wanted to match in with the bottom and the sides of my tray, so then I just go in and paint each one of the legs ivory as well. Now attaching them is super easy, just a little bit of hot glue, kind of space them out maybe an inch or 2 from the edge, and do 1 in each corner. I've kind of done some of the cutting board trays like this in a smaller size for like coffee bar and stuff DIYs as well, but I really like how this one turned out. The only edges I didn't paint was the end that I'm gluing directly to the board. Just nice when the bottom of your piece looks as good as the sides and the top. And there's our little tray. The only issue is that little hole here, you know, where you hang the cutting board is covered with paper, and I would really like to have that cut out too. So I'm going to go in there with a razor blade, kind of cut a a grid pattern in there and try to cut and shape that out into the little circle that was there before, but being careful not to take away too much of the paper. And then even though it won't be really functional, I'm going to do some Dollar Tree rope through that to make a simple little hanger here by cutting a little piece of rope down, tying a knot at the end, and I'm just going to kind of let that dangle. It's going to add to the cute decor of the cutting board, and it's going to kind of look coastal as well, being in the Dollar Tree brown rope. Now here it is, our little tray table. Perfect for decorating seasonal decor, and we are going to decorate it with fall items. For the first DIY for that, I'm going to use one of the burlap, I guess they're like oak leaves, and then one of these little metal display stands from the Dollar Tree. Now sometimes you can pop these right off, sometimes they're very difficult. I purposely look for ones that are loose like that because then it makes a great display stand with hardly any work. And what we're going to display is just one of those beautiful burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. They kind of have a wire on them already, which I don't really need. So I just use a little heat to remove that. And then I'm simply going to hot glue that straight to our hanger. Just like that. And it's got like the white wire display, the wood base, perfect for the tray. Such a quick, easy little DIY. This is how it looks on the tray once I style it. And then I wanted to make a little sign for it as well. I had used the flamingo off of that Dollar Tree sign, so I thought I would use it and reuse it and then use some Dollar Tree fall decals to make a cute little fall sign that's going to kind of go with that light blue color scheme. So I just popped the back out of this Dollar Tree frame, and we can decorate the back of the sign. So the first step is I'm just going to go ahead and paint the back of that Dollar Tree sign with some ivory paint, making sure I get a good coating on there, but maybe not that much paint. Now I want to kind of clean up the back of it because it had like that kind of broken picture where we had taken the flamingo off of it. So I just used some Dollar Tree wood vinyl, just cut a square bigger than the sign and stick that to the back using a sanding block to sand off all the edges. Just going to give you a finished back since we have decorated the other side, and being on a tray like that, you might be able to see it from the back. Now again, we're going to use some Mod Podge and window decals from the Dollar Tree. I just do a thin coat all over the Dollar Tree sign. And then I'm using this really pretty pumpkin window decal. It says leaves are falling, autumn is calling. And I just place that little ivory pumpkin right on top of the ivory background, making sure I have it good and flat, no bubbles. And then once I get it on there, I can Mod Podge all over the top of it to seal that down and take away a lot of that shine that you get from a decal. Now, once I get that dry, I always like to kind of distress my window clings as well. So I'm going to use a little bit of ivory acrylic and a chunky brush and just do a very light dry brush. It just kind of breaks up some of the lines, makes it look not so perfect and a little bit more like a fun hand-painted sign. So now it's just a matter of putting this back together. I'm going to put some hot glue on the inside of that frame rim. It's a great frame for a tier tray or a tray like this because you can stand it up on itself. It did have some little metal nails in there as well. So I used hot glue and the existing nails to staple that back in there. And I think it's so pretty. It's going to look so cute on that little fall tray that we made. And this is how it looks. I have it in the back because it's a little bit of a larger piece. Now I wanted to do a fun little sand pumpkin to decorate that as well. So I picked up one of these little velvet pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a sand pumpkin. It doesn't matter which one you get. You can even get just the plain foam ones. I kind of wanted a smaller one than the foam one, so I picked up a little velvet one. And I just removed the stem and all of the velvet. And easy peasy, we're just going to cover this with sand using school glue. I always like to pick up school glue this time of year. You can get it like as low as $1 at Target and some stores for back to school. And I'm going to do just half at a time. So this is the bottom half. I'm just coating it all with school glue. And then we are just going to sprinkle that Dollar Tree tan sand all over. I have done larger versions of this in the past, and it turned out so cute for fall. And they really couldn't be any easier to do. This would be a really fun project to get the little ones involved as well, because anybody could do it. I'm also going to use some of the spray glue from the Dollar Tree to kind of glue that down from the top, kind of spraying all over and adding a little bit more sand on top of that. I'm just basically trying to cover all of the white styrofoam that I can with it. And so from that point, I can just flip it over and we can start working on the other side. Same thing, just a nice thick, even layer of school glue all over. You could also use tacky glue if you didn't have any school glue, but school glue works just really good for sand as well. And then I'm going to spray that with some more of that spray glue and then dust it with just a little bit more sand. I did in the end have a little bit more styrofoam showing than I intended, but as long as it's mostly covered in sand, I think I'm going to be happy with it. Now for the pumpkin stem it came with, it's super cute. I thought it looked kind of plasticky though, so I'm just going to distress all over with some ivory to bring out that beautiful character that's already kind of in there. Wiping off any of the excess paint with a baby wipe, and look how gnarly and cool that little pumpkin stem turned out. And I'm just going to put some hot glue right inside the foam pumpkin and glue that back in place. And here it is, our little sand pumpkin, perfect for decorating that little fun tray we made for fall. And I kind of put it in front of that sign that we just made. Just a really fun, cute little touch to the tray. Okay, the next ones I'm not even really going to include as DIYs because I don't do much to them. But I found this great white acorn at the Target dollar spot. It was $3, not $1, but I really liked it, so we're going to go with it. I didn't really want it to be white and glossy, though. I wanted to kind of go with my ivory color scheme, and so I'm just going to distress the whole white acorn with ivory, and I think this is going to make a really fun touch to the tray as well. So I just displayed that right in front of our little leaf next to our little sand pumpkin. Cute little acorn. I'm wondering if Dollar Tree has any of those this year. And then, of course, I have to have some coastal touches. So I just took a Dollar Tree sand dollar, and it's a little gray. So I'm going to paint that ivory as well to kind of make it go with color scheme we got going on that little tray. And we can just kind of tuck that up on the tray to decorate as well. Super easy, not counting any of those, but I kind of wanted to show you how I put together the rest of the tray. I'm just going to kind of lean it up against the sign there behind our little burlap leaf. And this I actually found at Goodwill too. I thought it would be really cute for fall. I guess it's like a little broom whisk or something like that. I'm not sure what these are called, but I like the colors. I think it looks really cute for fall. And so I'm just kind of cleaning it up, trimming it a little bit, and we're just going to kind of sit that next to the tray for a little bit added fall decor. Right there to the side of it, I think it really all ties together really well. I'm also going to decorate with one of these great little like seagrass woven pumpkins that I got at the Target dollar spot for $3. Super cute. Dollar Tree does have a version on a pick that's very similar, but I think it kind of looks like an apple. I've actually used it for apple DIYs before, but you can kind of get that same look. But I love this one from the Target dollar spot, so we are going to use that one to decorate right here next to the tray as well. Now let's get back to some more DIYs. I picked up 4 of these great signs from the Dollar Tree. They have like a little sign on a wood sign behind them. They're super easy to craft with. And we are going to use some of my favorite wallpaper again, the tropical wallpaper, and make some really easy fall signs. I basically just want to cover the front sign, and the wallpaper is perfect for masking the writing and stuff on there. So I'm using the square corner that I already have, lining that up, and then just kind of creasing it exactly where I kind of need to cut that down to size to cover the front of it. So I just cut like right along the crease, and basically it's just a big sticker that you can just peel and cover what you have on there. I'm going to use that as a reference or a stencil to cut out my other 4. I want to have like the word fall on here with that beautiful tropical background. And I want the pattern to kind of continue side by side. So I'm just kind of lining those up right next to each other and continuing that pattern. And just trimming them if I don't get them cut down perfectly, but otherwise it's just a matter of peeling and sticking these down. Unfortunately, though, I noticed that you could still see the writing through the wallpaper, maybe because it was black on white, super kind of hard to cover, but that's okay. I noticed it right away, so I'm just going to go ahead and peel this one back off. And I'm just going to go in with some ivory chalk paint and just kind of do a light coat on all 4 signs. And it was still pretty noticeable, so I did go back with a second coat of that ivory as well to kind of mask it. This wallpaper is really thick, so I didn't think you would be able to see through it, but you never know, you might want to check first. So now I can peel and stick on my painted surface, and it's going to look great with nothing coming through from behind. Now I picked up 4 of these signs because I wanted to spell out the word fall. So I'm going to show you a really quick, easy way to do that, and something really inexpensive as well. What we're going to do is we're going to make the fall letters out of popsicle sticks. Now fall is a really easy word to do because you can usually just do F, L, and L. Super straight letters that you can cut down your popsicle sticks. These are like, not the jumbo, but like the large popsicle sticks, but you could totally use the smaller ones from the Dollar Tree as well. And I am just going to cut those down to size. A little piece for both parts of the F. And then I'm using the F as a reference for my L. So that everything will kind of be the same scale. I'm going to do something fun for the A. Instead of an A, I'm going to use a wood shape. And cutting down all of my letters using one piece for reference. Oh, they're super jumbo, so that's what those are called. And for the A, I'm actually going to use a starfish. I thought that'd be coastal and fun. You could use whatever you have. A leaf would be cute as well since it is fall, but I wanted to really go coastal with this one. So the little wood starfish from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. And I don't really want to leave them just natural wood like that, so I am just going to quickly paint all of them with some ivory acrylic. Super easy to paint these and kind of make them look all matching. The starfish as well. It's kind of got a cute little pattern on there anyway, but just going over the front of that one. You do kind of have to get in the grooves to get all of that one painted ivory though. And now we can start attaching these. It's as simple as hot gluing the popsicle sticks to the side and spelling out your word. Just a really cheap, easy way to make your own letters without having to actually go buy them. And then you go to buy them and you can't find like the actual letters that you need. That's always super frustrating. So I put the F right next to the L so I can line those up perfectly when I'm hot gluing all those together. And then our starfish A, I don't really want you to be able to see the hole in the top of that ornament. So I just take some really thin Dollar Tree twine and just cut a very sweet, simple little bow. It's going to add a little decor. It's going to cover the hole in the top of the ornament and solve that problem. Now I kind of like the little round shapes here on the starfish, so I decided to kind of accentuate those with a little gold Sharpie, just kind of drawing those back on. but not too sharp. I also go back and distress that with a little bit of ivory to break it up a little bit because it was a little dark. And we have our fall sign. This is like one of my bookshelves. It fills up the whole thing. Just a really easy way to do a fall sign. And look how tropical and fun it looks as well. And I wanted to do a little fall greenery arrangement. And I found this great vase at the Dollar Tree. It's glass and it's got like the little bump outs all over it. I'm going to combine that with some tropical foliage that I found actually at Target Dollar Spot. Some little tropical leaves mixed together with like an ivory palm frond. I thought that would be cute for fall. And we are just going to paint that Dollar Tree vase with some ivory chalk paint. It really ended up really cool. I'm a big fan of this vase, and I think it looks even better painted. I really like it ivory. So just kind of going all over. No glass paint or anything, but the chalk paint does a pretty good job of sticking to the glass. Now, you wouldn't think that these would be traditionally for fall, but I thought with the color of the palm leaves from these that they kind of look fallish to me, and they go definitely with my coastal fall color scheme. So I'm just going to trim them down a little bit just because they were a little long with my Dollar Tree floral scissors. And we're going to fill that little tiny vase from the Dollar Tree up with these. And I displayed these with that fall tray that we made too. And the colors all go just really well together. I ended up only having enough room in there for about 4 of them instead of all 5. But look how cute that is. I'm a big fan of that Dollar Tree vase. Love it. And this is how it looks displayed by the tray and that little pumpkin that we found at the Target Dollar Spot as well. So cute for fall. And this is how it looks all together. This was like the bottom of my cabinet with that great tray that we made. And I think it turned out really cute. I love the little beach touches. Okay, let's do another DIY. I'm going to use another one of those placemats. A Dollar Tree sign. It can be anything. I just wanted a square sign and a wood leaf sign from the Dollar Tree. Now, this was a Christmas sign. Not a big fan of the glitter on it, but we're just going to flip it over, and we're actually going to make this into a pretty high-end looking sign. Right now, it's just a flat board, but I'm going to show you how you can make this into a chunky wood block-like look sign that you can use for display, and it will stand up on its own. So I just removed the hanger and the staples from the back, making sure that it's not warped, and we're just going to go straight in and start painting on the back. I go over the entire back with just ivory acrylic paint, kind of in one direction for the back of our sign. Just really easy. It painted really easily, and now I don't want this glitter and stuff to be on the back of my fall sign, and so I am going to take some of that wood grain contact paper from the Dollar Tree, nice and thin, cut it down a little bit larger, and just cover the glitter, all the mess on the back of that Dollar Tree sign. I don't know if they really have a plain wood square sign like this at Dollar Tree. Hey, Dollar Tree, if you're listening, give us some plain square signs like the wood rounds, but square. And got that covered. That's going to make it look more finished in the final project. And we're going to kind of layer signs on this too. I'm going to use my favorite placemat, this beautiful like mint green beachy blue, and cover up the front of this as well. So I am kind of measuring exactly how big I want to make it. And then we're just going to cut this down to size. It's kind of got like a pattern on there, but I don't really care about that. I just really like the color. And then I am just going to Mod Podge that down with a rather thick layer of Mod Podge to make sure it stays stuck. The reason I painted the sign under that is so it would be kind of like an ivory underneath of the blue, because it does kind of have holes in it, and I kind of wanted it to have ivory sides as well, but not much of a framed edge, just a little bit around the edges of the placemat. And I thought this would be a great background for a wood leaf. Look how pretty the wood grain naturally is on this. I thought that was so pretty that I didn't really want to cover it up because it looks really nice as is, right? So I just cut the hanger off of this, and I'm just going to attach this to the square sign that we DIY'd. I kind of want it at an angle like this. And so to attach it, I'm just going to put hot glue on the back of the leaf and glue that down to the placemat, gluing it down to the sign, back behind that if I can. I just want it to be super flat, no warping or anything like that. Again, when you layer those Dollar Tree signs, you're going to get a flatter, more substantial product. But I was kind of struggling on this one, trying to keep it super flat. Now, again, I want to cover the little hole there from the hanger. So just some Dollar Tree twine, tied in a simple bow. I'm going to hot glue that over it. It's going to cover that up, and then I don't have to worry about that, especially since I did not paint the little wood leaf. I like that natural look. I think that looks really coastal as well. And then we're going to use Dollar Tree craft wood to make the sides, because remember how I told you I was going to show you how to make this look a little bit more high-end. So these are my 4 pieces, and I do want them to be ivory so that they will match together with, you know, kind of the sides that we already have there on that thinner sign. So I just go in and do a really rough paint job on these. I want them to look coastal. I do want some of the wood to shine through, but mostly I want them to be ivory. Now it's time to put it together. The frame is actually going to be on the back of the sign. My wood was almost the right length directly from Dollar Tree, but I did have to trim it down a little bit to make it perfect. And I'm just going to hot glue that back onto the back flush with the edge. So like the boxy frame is going to sit behind it, make it look really chunky. And a lot of times I buy chunky signs like this from Goodwill, and this is kind of how you can do it with a Dollar Tree sign. So I had to cut down the side pieces as well. I just cut them down enough to fit right in, and then to make it sturdier, I also went in and just did a little nail to make that super secure, and so I don't have to just rely on the hot glue there. I'm going to glue my 4th side in there too, and just a few more nails as well. Just straight down in there for a little security. And wasn't that easy to do? I think it turned out really cute. And for the final touch, I was trying to decide real starfish or Dollar Tree starfish. They both look really cute. I kind of like the daintiness of my real starfish I had from Amazon a little bit better. So that's the one I chose to use. And it was a little bit more ivory in color. So I just glue that straight up on the leaf to finish off our little leaf sign. And I think this turned out so coastal and beachy and beautiful for fall. What do you guys think about our little wood leaf sign? I love that I left it unfinished like that and it had that great wood grain already. I displayed mine next to that succulent pumpkin that we made earlier. So cute. Anything with a starfish, I am a fan. Okay, the next DIY, I'm going to take one of these long fall signs with the stacked pumpkins and layer that with another sign. Now, this is the pumpkin cutout sign from the Dollar Tree, but it could be any of these signs. They have these for every season. You're not going to be able to see the cutout anyway. I really like the white, orange, blue pumpkins, but not a fan of the glitter for fall. So the first thing I'm doing is just going over the entire paper sign with a thick layer of matte Mod Podge to tone down the glitter. And then I'm going to use it for reference. I'm using a white Sharpie paint pen, and I am just going in and redrawing all the letters back on there, masking the glitter behind. Kind of a desperate move to get rid of the glitter, but it does work. If you have a paint pen, that works fairly well. But it doesn't look great, so then I'm going to follow that up with a tiny brush, some ivory paint, and I'm just going to paint all over with some acrylic paint, using that for reference. My letters aren't going to be perfect, but I think they'll look nice and distressed, which is kind of what I wanted to go with the sign anyway. So I just paint over with a couple coats of the ivory until you can't really see any of that crazy red glitter that was back there before. Once I get it all painted, I'm also going to distress it with the same ivory. I wanted to make it look kind of old and distressed, so just working in one direction with the ivory, I'm going to distress all of my pumpkins. And it's kind of a slapboard sign, like where it's got the little cutouts, which looks kind of cute too. I follow that up with a paper towel to wipe off some of the excess, but I don't want to take too much of it off because I really did kind of want that aged look to this fall Dollar Tree sign. Now, I thought I would age it even a little bit more with some antique wax by Waverly, so I went over and distressed the whole thing with that too. I was really just trying to take away that paper look of the pumpkins and make them look a little bit better, a little bit more coastal farmhouse. That did really age them a lot, but as you can see, it also really darkened up all of my letters. So I did go back in with a third and final coat of ivory on all my letters just to kind of make them pop again against the pumpkins. And as many layers as paint as you can do over the glitter, the better. It kind of disappears and you don't even know that it's there. So once I get those all painted back on, we can now start to layer our sign. I had that other fall sign from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going to simply hot glue this one on. Again, layering the Dollar Tree signs can be key. And it also doesn't matter which cutout here because it's going to cover it up anyway. But I like that light wood color. I kind of did that one on purpose because I like the look of that with the colors of our distressed pumpkins. Now, of course, I want to do a few more coastal touches. So I'm going to do some of these little chipboard sea creatures, seahorse, a seashell, a sea turtle, and a dolphin. And I'm going to distress those with ivory paint as well. And we're going to make some little fun touches to our little coastal fall sign. I'm just going to hot glue one onto the top of each one of the pumpkins just to add a little beach fun. And then I always like to frame out my Dollar Tree signs too. I think it makes them look coastal, but it also makes them look a little thicker and chunkier. And so I'm using some Dollar Tree white rope. This is the thinner one. And we are just going to do a simple frame all around all four edges of that back sign. It's going to make it look thicker. It's going to kind of go with the coastal feel of this pumpkin sign anyway. So just a bead of hot glue along the back of that sign. And glue the rope right on. Easy peasy. If you want to get fancy at the corners, you can do a little knot at the corners, but I think I'm just going to do a simple square corner here. Gluing that right behind our little seahorse. And you can usually find those sea creature chipboard pieces year-round. You could also use the little wood sea creatures from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. To add some little coastal sea creatures to your fall pumpkins. And we have it all framed out with Dollar Tree rope. I think I did a good job distressing it. It definitely looks distressed. And this is how it looks hanging on my wall for fall next to a little driftwood seahorse there that I had made. Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that I've introduced memberships on my channel. For $4.99 a month, you can help support me here at Crafty Beach. You're going to get early ad-free access to my videos and a few other perks as well, like shout-outs. I want to give a huge thank you to Karen O'Haron, Coastal Couple, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Sandra Ray, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, Verna Noctigal, Julie Miller, Whitney Harrison, Nancy Wunner, Jan, Tammy Coates, and Janae Farrington. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate you. And now it's time for the final reveal. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed today's video. Please comment your favorite DIY. The engagement really helps. And don't forget to subscribe. We just hit 20,000 subscribers, and I do have a winner to the 20K giveaway. The winner is Melinda Adams 1182. I responded to your winning message with directions on how to claim your prize. Congratulations.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Dancing through the last days of September. Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can summer sky is like a giant ember.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to watch more Crafty Beach DIYs, YouTube thinks you might enjoy this video right here.